All right. Welcome everyone to this live stream about vibe coding. We're a little bit early because I want to make sure that everyone comes here. They already have something going on, so you don't miss the live event in the first place. So what we are going to talk about today is just vibe coding. And it's going to be a couple of hours long, not super intensive as compared to the last time we did. And hopefully we'll have a very interactive session because there are not so many people in this meeting or in this live session. We'll have only a few dozen, maybe 10, 15 people, not more. Okie dokie. So I'm gonna quickly share this. Okie dokie. So we are going to then we are pretty much done from this side. And I'm gonna share my screen and so on. I'm gonna quickly join this Google Meet. We'll have some guests coming from another place, so we will see that in just a minute. Okay. So we have around 10 people or so coming in. Hi, Simon. Hello, Martin. Hello, everyone. Hi, Martin. Nice to see you. Okay. Okay. One. Okay. Meanwhile, either we wait in awkward silence or we go and ask anything about anything vibe coding. So happy to take questions already. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm also, just for your information, right now it's also live on my YouTube channel, and I'm also doing a recording with QuickTime Player so that the quality is super high, and it will also be available on my YouTube channel. For those of you who do not know me, you can know me more about from that website, emailsite.com. How many hours was it? I'm sorry about that. It Sure. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Emil Sire. I'm a software engineer. I build AI agents for SMEs as a freelance engineer, but I also have an agency. My personal brand comes first, and then the agency comes second since January 2025. But before that, I've been building companies for the past 17 years um, uh, as a kind of tech entrepreneur, startup founder, agency owner. And now, after a sunset to my last startup, a voice AI agent, I am kind of like sharing that knowledge back to the community through a YouTube channel and monthly workshops. My monthly workshops are pretty much in person, hybrid, live stream. The next one is going to happen on 26th and 27th of July. If you guys are in Berlin or anywhere in the world, you can join for free. It's going to be vibe coding and N8 workflows. Mostly we do it in person and also live stream with so many cameras. You can see there is a camera. But this particular version, this next one, I'm gonna run for 2 days, is gonna happen 100% remote. So you're welcome to join from anywhere, and you'll learn a lot about those vibe coding because it's like 20 hours long, 2 days long workshop. What I'm going to do is I'm going to also run something vibe coded called Vibe Stage so that you guys get an access to something. It's called vibestage.emilsire.com. I'll share it here in this chat. What you get with this, either you open it with your phone or on the page, you can send these emojis. They show up on my screen so that I know that you guys are bored or have a question stuff. Or if you ask a question, I see this hand gesture, and then I can go here and then I can answer these questions. I think this is from the last question, but you get it. So that we can have like our session extremely productive. And also, there are some links if you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, or you can connect with me on LinkedIn. So what are we going to talk about is called vibe coding, and I will also have like this whiteboard running here. We'll talk about some concepts in there. Additionally, I'm going to give you guys some more personal view of my camera setup right now here to kind of like give you what is where with this setup in here. And feel free if you have a question that might not be articulated easily with what do you call it, with text. using Vibe Stage, then just turn on your microphone and ask me a question. With that being said, let's go to vibe coding. So you don't need to take any notes or anything because everything is recorded. And also, I have a very detailed vibe coding crash course, which you can utilize from this playlist right here, Vibe Coding Crash Course 101, which has like 38 lectures, pretty detailed. And this vibe stage thing that you saw is a project that I built during that course. So, what is vibe coding? It's just a term that was coined by Andrej Karpathy. Andrej Karpathy is the former co-founder of OpenAI. He goes in February 2025 and he tweets something around, I use AI in order to generate code. Most often it works. I don't see the code. I click on the accept button. You'll see what's accept button in a minute. And mostly it works, and especially for throwaway projects, it's good enough. But throughout the past couple of months, it had like a couple of hypes, also a negative hype. If you kind of like go and search for vibe coding memes, you'll find a lot of negative vibe coding memes where people talk about vibe debugging and say vibe coding one more time. And there's a kind of like, it's a controversial subject right now. People don't think you should be vibe coding. And also at the same time, AI assisted coding or context engineering are interesting topics that people are talking about. But what we are going to do today is throw away all of this noise and just build something, build a nice little application. In order to make it more interesting, I'm going to open the floor to you guys. You tell me what should we build. So you guys tell me what should we build. You can use Vibe Stage in order to put your idea. Otherwise, I will just pick a landing page, boring, a snake game, boring. We'll do something. Because I have recently did very intense vibe coding masterclass. It was supposed to be for 3 hours. It ended up being for 5 hours. You can see it somewhere here. Vibe coding. There was one question coming. Let's see, what was that? So in this vibe coding session, what we did was we put Claude Code and cursor to the test. So like literally the entire screen was split into two parts. This black one was cursor, the white one was Claude Code, and we built a full stack web application with Supabase and all the integrations. But that was like a 5-hour session, so I wouldn't want you guys to sit here for 5 hours. Let's see who submitted a question on interactive mobile APA. What is APA? Okay. Any interactive mobile app. Okay, but that's not, my system is not optimized for mobile apps, so React Native and stuff. And also for 1 hour, it's not possible. I'm sorry. I would enjoy some good bookkeeping vibe coding. Can you elaborate on what bookkeeping? Because I personally am super focused on bookkeeping, and also I have created a voice. A voice. I'm so much a voice, but not, this one is not voice, but it's a dative AI agent. You can watch the video later on. But what exactly you want for this? Can you tell me that? Mm. Mhm. Okay. Okay. That's a little bit. The scope is a little bit bigger than normally for 1 hour. But any other questions? Any other ideas coming in? There is one idea: a directory website for suppliers based in Europe which would grab supplier information online and feed the directory. Again, bigger ideas. Okay, then I'm going to start just with basics of it and the setup and so on. And until then, if you guys thought about a smaller idea, fine. Otherwise, then we will go on with something that I can think of immediately. And down the road, when I'm explaining things, if I caught another idea in mind, then I will also bring that in. So one thing I really would highly encourage you guys as vibe coders is to learn your terminal commands and learn your Git commands. So the first thing we are going to do is go to GitHub and create a new repository so that we can save things in here. I'm going to keep it public so that you guys can clone it and get it. Since we don't have a project, I'm going to call it Vibe 14, 14th of July, just a name that we can have a repository here. So you can find that literally underneath my username. That's github.com/amal/vibe14. I'm gonna quickly clone this here in a folder I have. And today we're going to use Cursor. Okay, Cursor is an IDE. It's a fork of VS Code. With this, you can build. Well, you can code, but the integrations and the things that it has is really cool when it comes to vibe coding. With Cursor today, we are going to use something called Taskmaster. That's taskmaster.dev. That's their website. Taskmaster.dev. And what it does is it basically creates like a tiny little tasks for Cursor. It's kind of like Jira for Cursor, or for the AI agent that's writing code inside Cursor. So I already have the MCP settings set here for Taskmaster. You can see it's green. When you do the setup, make sure that that's green, and then the behavior of Cursor will change as it goes on. But Taskmaster is a CLI. A CLI stands for command line interface. It can run without Taskmaster, without Cursor. But it would be nice if the MCP integrations of Taskmaster is done so that it can go a little bit in good direction. So I saw another question coming in. Sorry, maybe I missed it, but what does vibe coding means? Please check it later on from the video. It means like probably you join later, but it means like a way that you write code pretty much, or build products pretty much with English language. Well, you'll see it in more detail in a minute. So what we're going to build is not decided yet. Now I'm going to kind of like go with, I don't know, simple Kanban could be a good idea. I'm also the founder and CEO of this company called Zook. We did some Kanbans here. There were a lot of Kanban work done here. Maybe we can kind of like build a small Kanban project, kind of just the front end, not the full stack application. Having tasks like this and then moving them, creating them, putting them there. Better to-do list than normal to-do list, so to say. And we'll build it in Next.js, okay? So the first step I would do is I would go here in ChatGPT, and I will ask ChatGPT to do the following things. Where's the canvas? Here. I will turn on the canvas mode, and I will start speaking to my microphone. I have a dictation tool running here. Can you please write a product requirement document for the following content? Create a Next.js app that has a Kanban, just the front end, not the full stack application. Use TypeScript. Use any available good Kanban NPM package. And it should have a drag and drop feature so that I can create cards. I can give a title to the card. I can give a description to the card. And I can move these cards on the following 5 columns: backlog, in progress, canceled, blocked, completed in these 5 columns. And each column should have a different color to it, so it is nicely done. And for the entire user experience, use better CSS and colors. Do not include any deadlines or budget information in this PRD document. Please only include the technical descriptions of this. So we're gonna let ChatGPT run on that, and then I'll take the question and see what's the question there. Okay, so there is a question coming. With vibe coding, we can only build web apps, or we can also build iOS apps. We can also build mobile apps. Basically, with vibe coding, you can generate code, so you can generate any type of code. So this thing that I'm moving, it's built with Electron.js and C++, and the reason it's on C++ because when I go to the next pages, you see each of these pages, like these little boxes here, is a virtual box, and only C++ code can run here. And the reason that it can go on each of these pages when I swipe is because that's a native module that I have built for Vibe Stage. So with Vibe coding, you can build any type of code. So this is my step number 1. I create a PRD, a product requirement document. And let's give this Kanban frontend app with Next.js. I review this in an extremely detailed manner usually. But right now it's an educational content, and I don't want to kind of spend a lot of time like literally reading it, but I'll just skim through it and make sure that it didn't misunderstand anything. And I know this React npm package, but I will definitely double check it for you guys to kind of like give you this package has been deprecated. So I will take this information, go back to here, and I will tell, well, this package is deprecated. Can you find a better one? There was a React Kanban as well. Oh, it was just the suggestion. So let's make sure that that suggestion is updated. So I'm going to kind of like do a few rounds of that. So this looks good, but the weekly downloads is not big enough. So it will create an experience like that, but let's see if there is a better one available on the internet. So I'm going to quickly do a test of that. This is how the Kanban that we are going to build could look like. But let's see if anything better. D&D kit, let's check that one. I'm going to type D&D kit. Sorry, that was not copied properly. I will also come to this one and see. So the things that the numbers that I'm looking for is this, the higher the better, and also the library for building performance and accessible drag and drop experiences, and also a demo. If there is a demo, I would like to check the demo and see how that thing works. Apparently, this is very, very rich project. You see, 15,000 stars, enough contributors. The last commit happened 7 months ago, which is not a good sign. It should be more active project, but at least the number of downloads kind of like indicates that this seems to be a very good one. Okay, so I think that's good. I do a little bit of research like this to make sure that my requirement document do not include a lot of bad things. So this is also not bad, 850,000 weekly downloads. And the columns, it got it. The UI styling, it got it. Features, card creation, card management, drag and drop, UX enhancement. I will add one more feature. I know we have like 90 minutes for this session, but that feature we will add it. Well, actually, I will add that in the Taskmaster so I can show you that at a later stage how this thing works. All right. So now I will literally copy this entire document, go here, and create this prd.txt file in here, literally all of them in here. And I'll prompt Cursor to do the following things. Can you please take this prd.txt file and generate all the required tasks using Taskmaster? So it's gonna now use the MCP connection of Taskmaster and then give Taskmaster some tasks, which is kind of like break down this PRD into tasks. If we check the MCP connections of Taskmaster, you will end up seeing that it has, luckily, well, these, I can remove these keys later, but it is using two keys. One is Anthropic, that's for key, basically for code generation. One is Perplexity, which is for searching the internet. So as soon as Taskmaster kicks in, it searches the internet for latest code and so on and so forth. And as you guys have seen, we had this terminal here. So I'm gonna quickly show you the Taskmaster CLI. It has a switch called list. You execute this, and then you see list of tasks. Right now, since the Taskmaster is not initiated yet, therefore it says no valid tasks found. What it does is it creates all of these files that you see here. This was empty. It only had this PRD file. This is when you know that the MCP is kicking in. The UI of Cursor changes like this. So what happened here is right now you see all of these files added by Taskmaster inside Cursor, which is kind of like the rule files and so on and so forth inside Cursor. Otherwise, we would have done it manually. And the most important, I will come to the questions just a minute, please. One important thing that Taskmaster has done is added these tasks in here, which we'll see it in just a minute, anyways. And once the tasks are initiated, then we should see a table in here. Still, the tasks are not initiated. It will initiate the tasks. It's still running. You can see here the running terminal commands. All the tasks underneath this folder will emerge into kind of like actual tasks for this AI agent in order to create like which part first, which part second, which part third, and so on. All right, now let's go to the questions. Martin has a question. Do we need to run an CI command by ourselves manually? Yes, the only CI command, Martin, I'll come to your question, is this one that kind of like check what tasks do I have, what tasks are left, and so on, which I'll explain. Martin, go ahead, ask your question, please. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Perhaps we can actually do both. What you would like to do is like literally the vanilla JS cursor. So let's create vibe 14 let's call it vanilla, not with the toppings, but the vanilla ice cream kind of thing. So if you create that vanilla thing, you literally start talking to cursor in here. That's it. No cursor, no taskmaster, no extra PRDs, no nothing. If I say, can you create a Kanban for me that has some cards, a web application that has a Kanban looking like and cards and blah, blah, blah. So you talk to this and then it starts writing code for you in here. But there is a problem with this approach because LLMs, be it Claude or any of the LLMs that you can choose from here, will hallucinate. Why they will hallucinate? Because the task management in here is not good enough. What it will do is kind of like build things that are not necessarily good enough and nice enough in terms of like creating user experiences, complex web applications, and so on. But if you want to build something that is at least complex enough to do things in let's say, what do you call it, a web application that has actual applications in it, then don't use cursor directly like this, the vanilla JS way. Use it with a task management like Taskmaster. And I understand this is overwhelming, but if you spend like a weekend, educate yourself about the basics of command lines and so on, then it's not overwhelming. If you still intend to go and build products without all the shenanigans around that, what I have just shown, then your go-to platform is Lovable, not Cursor, because Lovable is much, much easier, or Replit, because then the entire integrated development environment is here. You prompt on the right side, you see the outcome, you see a link, you get it. I believe there isn't much that I can tell you more about Lovable because it's already so much simplified. And neither this current masterclass that we are having is optimized for the step-by-step hands-on tutorial on how to set up MCP server in Cursor, because that is an how-to which is available. The main purpose of this masterclass is to show you what's possible at the other side of the vibe coding, like the edge, the master level. So it's a masterclass. It's not like hands-on session. I hope that answers the question. Yes, we. The question is like we must have to use Taskmaster to build any app through Cursor. Yes, that's the point. So we have like Taskmaster set up. Taskmaster is set up in underneath Cursor, and Cursor is literally building Kanban solutions. So something like this, for example. Now it built us this web application literally by running all of that by itself, and then it creates these tasks. This is a sample task, some description, and then you set the priority, and then you add it. And then this can also be moved around. So something like that. So now building something like this as a web application and running it on that kind of an autonomy is not an easy job. So it will take a whole lot of time to do that. So sorry, this is, pardon me, there is a small misunderstanding by me. This is the vanilla JS one. So literally you can see there is a JavaScript file, there's a CSS file, there's an HTML file that it generated from that vanilla prompt when I said blah blah. And nowadays the LLMs are so smart that they can build this kind of user experiences. Localhost 3000. This was literally built with that one prompt. So you can imagine what can you build if you do it in a very, very detailed way. So this was our vanilla prompt, which Martin said, like, can we do it without Taskmaster? And that's the result of Taskmaster. No Taskmaster, I mean. Okay. There is another question. Replit is really good as compared to Lovable. Like it's more for serious projects and so on. Um, the there is no line when you should start doing which one, but in my opinion, it comes to literally your requirements. If your requirements are so easy, it's a super simple landing page, then go um, with let's say Lovable or a V0. But soon you will discover that, oh, this is not something I want. I want something more sophisticated, and then you'll easily find out that, okay, this is not my thing. I want to build something more sophisticated. And in that moment, then you'll realize, okay, this is then Taskmaster cursor moment. Okay. So now if I type Taskmaster list, you will see this thing. It has created this project dashboard for me, Taskmaster. It says 0% done. It kind of like created a list of all these tasks with their priorities and their dependencies. So which task is dependent on which one is gonna help cursor to build this thing in an extremely sophisticated way. Sophisticated doesn't mean like having a better UI than this one that this is my son's vibe coded Minecraft game, but no, still this one. Where did we run our vanilla JS one? So it's this port. All of these details that I'm right now showing is covered in that crash course that I mentioned. So this Kanban was built with a simple one prompt solution. It doesn't matter if the outcome that we're going to build now with cursor is less sophisticated or less cool looking here. What is going to be different with the version that we are going to build is the quality of the code, because here it created like literally one file and put all the JavaScript there. It is so-called vanilla JavaScript, but I could also prompt it to build it in Next.js, but the amount of hallucinations or the chances of hallucinations in this vanilla version without using any cursor under the hood would have been much, much higher. And now, since I have all the tasks done in my Vibe 14 project, like this folder, now I have one thing to save to GitHub, which is the tasks. If I git status, what is git status? Again, same question that was mentioned, that it is covered in the course that I have showed in the start. So I'm gonna do an initial commit with Taskmaster details. That means now I saved something on GitHub. And if I go to this GitHub that I created earlier, you will see after refresh that there are some files right now pushed into GitHub so that you can also have access to. Now, what's the next thing? I can go literally and start asking this. Can you start this project by using all the tasks from Taskmaster, and don't ask me for questions? Try to execute all of the next steps all by yourself, and make sure that you keep updating Taskmaster statuses by yourself. All right, so now it's gonna go on autonomy. Meanwhile, it's going on this kind of like loop of creating tasks and executing tasks by itself. Look at executed something to do with set task. That means the list of the tasks that we have seen earlier. It's gonna change from pending to in progress. If that has worked, now executing Taskmaster list should see, there we go, we see in progress. Now we see how this project is evolving. It's creating, since I asked it to not disturb me or execute it by itself, and also I have turned on this so-called YOLO mode. This gives permission to the terminal in order to execute this on a what do you call it, autonomous basis. But time to time it gets stuck. So I'm gonna keep an eye on this area. When it gets stuck, then I'm gonna unstuck it. Go ahead. Where's the question? Okay. I don't know any of these tools. I don't know how to make a directory in command line. I'm not a coder. I may want to have some better for my CSS for my website, something. Use ChatGPT. That's something. Okay. Drop out of this class. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your perspective. But this masterclass is about cursor. So if you would like to stay here, then you can stay here. But yes, for just CSS, I would suggest using ChatGPT, copy paste it in a text file, then it should just work. Okay, then this is now running. Most often cursor stops, or it's a drawback it's a bug in cursor that it gets stuck here. And then you just need to type continue, and then it continues executing. And the code quality that it generates for this project here is way much better because it's TypeScript and it is managing all the tasks, especially with this extra switch that you put here with subtasks. This will execute, and you will see that it did not actually start setting up the project, but it also created all of these subtasks, so that one task that we saw earlier is now expanded into these 4 subtasks, and it is executing them one by one. So therefore, the amount of hallucination has been reduced dramatically. Although in here we saw that there was only one task here, but when it starts working on that one task, it expands it into multiple subtasks. All right, so let's keep an eye on this one. Okay, meanwhile, this is generating. I can take more questions. How did you connect CI with cursor? What's the purpose of running tasks? Is it for testing? So the way that I connected Taskmaster with cursor is through this MCP setting. You go to the MCP setting, you provide your API keys, and then you're done. You need an Anthropic API key, and you need a Perplexity key, and then you're set up pretty much. And as in the start of this video, I mentioned that there will be tasks here. Now you can see that all of these tasks are literally in here. And this is basically the source of the truth where it goes in. Since this is checked into Git, or basically saved into GitHub, it means I can control these tasks. Every single individual task has this English definition of it, and then I can understand whether the AI agent understood my point properly or not. And I can control the quality of it, like in this situation. All right, so this is now running the lint. You prompted to build using Next.js. Is it better than Vite? Can you compare with? Okay, so yes, Vite is another builder, not necessarily compared to Next.js, but Next.js has its own build, and under the hood, exactly which one it's using, I don't know. But Vite is just a runtime builder. It can be compared to Webpack. But Next.js is a good one. So if you do Next.js, it's full stack. It has front end and back end. You can deploy it on a Versal, for example, and so on. With Vite, you could perhaps do just front end and then have a separate backend, Node.js backend running. That's a little bit complicated. But if you have a Next.js application, then this entire code base is way much more cleaner. It's a framework, and also AI agents like Cursor, Claude Sonnet knows a lot more about these frameworks. The reason is because frameworks has a lot of structure and also documentation and also a lot of community blogs. And since these AI models are trained on that, therefore it will make a lot of sense for a model to use a framework as compared to non-framework or vanilla JS or a vanilla framework, vanilla React or something. Okay, so now the project is running in localhost 3000. I'm going to open it here. This is basically the very first page that it built. And I'm going to ask this to, can you please make sure that you have updated all the Taskmaster tasks and their statuses? This is a very important step in what you want to do, because you want Taskmaster to be your source of truth, because when it changes something in Taskmaster, it basically changes this JSON file, this JavaScript object notation file. And when it sets this status done, then we can do another save in GitHub. And each time we save in GitHub, that means we're saving one piece of our work. It's very important to save information. Let me explain that concept here on this whiteboard very quickly. So imagine if that is time, that arrow represents time, and each time you save something in GitHub, it creates one so-called commit, okay? And in between these commits, whatever shenanigans happen, it's okay. You can do whatever chaos here. But if that chaos didn't work, you can stash it. Git stash is a kind of like a command that removes all of that changes that you have performed. But the moment you save something there, this is important. Like that moment of time when you save something, that's important. So we already have one commit in our Git history. What was that commit? Initial commit. We said initial commit with Taskmaster tasks. So if we go to our GitHub, once again, and here you see we only have one commit in here. Now, as soon as I know that one piece of work is done properly, which is right now this piece of work, which is like the initial setup of my project. The initial setup of my project is done. This is the time I'm going to do another commit. I'm going to say added Next.js project setup. So before even doing that, I would like to check my Taskmaster statuses. You can see that now it initialized the project, configured TypeScript and ESLint, set up Tailwind CSS, organize folder structures. That is in progress, but that's how I can know. And then I can say that Next.js project setup. So now I'm saving the Next.js project setup. Why? Because if you can see here now, there are two commits. Now, basically, I have saved one more piece of information on GitHub, which is the project setup. Now, what happens afterwards, like literally here, whatever happens, if it didn't work, I'm going to stash it, like literally remove it, and then try it again. Because code generation is easy. But if I save something wrong, it's going to cost me more time to build it, so it makes sense that I frequently save it. All right, so now I'm going to ask it to, can you please now take the next task and move on to implement the entire task? I forgot what was exactly the next task, but when it pulls it, then it already knows what is the next task. So for our sake, see, install the configure Kanban npm package. So it's going to install that, and then the basic structure, and then the card component, and so on, and it will go in that detail. So we're going to speed up this so that we have like around 10-12 minutes to the break, so that we can continue building the rest of this. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, please go ahead and ask me. Other than that, I will, if you don't have any questions, then I will explain one more thing called Claude Code. What is Claude Code? Claude Code is a terminal. It's literally like that. Claude, it's by Anthropic, and it runs inside your terminal, and then it kind of like executes tasks for you and manages tasks, and it generates code exactly in the same way. If you are interested in knowing more about Claude Code, you can go to that live session that I mentioned earlier, that we had earlier. We kind of like covered a lot of details in those 4 hours of video here. This is comparing both Claude Code and Cursor, and we built something together at the same time with Claude Code and Cursor. Let me see what's the question that's coming. I'm still confused about the purpose of tasks. What's their purpose? Okay, so I'm going to explain it one more time. If I would have not used Taskmaster, the questions that I ask Cursor in this box would go directly to the LLM, to the AI agent. And this increases the chances of this so-called hallucination. What's hallucination? Hallucination is this concept that is given to LLMs making answers by themselves if they don't know the answer. And when they do hallucinations, if your query is pretty vague, if the tasks are managed properly like this, then the hallucinations are reduced. That means the quality of the code that's generated by this AI agent increases. I hope that answers, but yeah. Yes, you can use Taskmaster with Claude Code. You can use Taskmaster alone. It has all the configuration and solution here. You can, let me check here. You can use it with Claude, with Windsurf, with others. And as I said, it has a terminal. You can literally do these things, like literally execute everything by the terminal. So it's not necessarily tied to Cursor. Okay. So it's doing some running builds. You need to keep an eye on this thing. It's a bug in Cursor that sometimes it gets stuck. If it's stuck for a very long time, then just write continue and then hit enter, and it kind of like resumes back. These products are, I don't know, 2-3 months old products, 5 months, 6 months old products. So it's okay if they have these small little bugs. So tolerate that in that sense. What's going on? Meanwhile, I will quickly check a few things in the live session. Meanwhile, I will quickly check. Voice and everything is okay. 6 people watching live. We didn't promote this one so much. Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's cursor. I don't know the caliber of your boot camp. What sort of participants are there? I I thought that you guys are happy to use cursor. So if you're not happy to use cursor, you can use Lovable, um, and you can use. Uh, yeah. So in that case, then we can. Yeah, we are almost anyways done with the time for this. What I will suggest is, let me see if I can find it out right now here. Either I talk or my recording talks. It's the same thing. So here, vibe coding with Lovable, Replit, and Firebase Studio. So these four subjects, these four videos, you can see like 8 minutes long, 7 minutes long, and 7 minutes long. You guys can watch this in order to see how to use Replit, Firebase Studio, and Lovable. And I'm building the same application across these lectures. Um, the reason I don't know if I still have the account and so on, but I would love to um, show it on my computer. But I can also kind of like use this tracker and show you how things work here, because I don't have the account anymore. So I'm gonna just use this, but it's my own video, so you can imagine. So I'm prompting here, this, and then I'm building the same thing with Lovable here. So you basically execute that, you see the outcome here, you click that link, and then you're done. So there's not much to talk about Lovable. It's like literally that thing. And what I'm building here is the very first version of this vibe stage, which I need people to send me these emojis, and that's what was the outcome of Lovable. So Lovable has these little components that you need to understand. Like, this is the prompt area, this is the outcome area, and if you want to share this outcome with your friends, you can click this this link in order to open it in a new window, and then you basically have it in a new window. So that's how Lovable looks like. And you can also publish it here, the publish button, and then you can take that URL and then send it to your friends, and then you can it's available for you off the shelf immediately. And then let's go to the next one, which is Replit. Also has a very similar UI. Um, let me quickly show Replit. Oh, indeed, this is good. I will share this one with you guys. A very interesting um, crash course, vibe coding crash course using Replit by the co-founders of Replit, and they're building an entire project during that 2 hours long or something. Oh, actually, 1 hour, 34 minutes long crash course, a beginner friendly. Uh, what's the question? There's a raise, a hand raised. Okay, sure. So the UI of Replit is like this. I'm just right now prompting it. Let's the prompt finishes. So you have like literally like Chat GPT, a UI here. You can start building, and then you Replit is a little bit better and more kind of like in more goes towards technical uh, applications or complex applications. And then once it starts generating the code, then you have like all the folders and codes in here. If you click that thing, I hope I clicked it. Yeah, I clicked it. And then you have like literally like an IDE in here. IDE means integrated development environment, kind of like VS Code or Cursor and so on, but sitting inside the browser. Right now, this is an so-called Arc browser. It's a different browser. It's a new browser, just like Chrome and others, but better. So it lives inside your browser. You see this chat window similar to Lovable, and this preview window similar to Lovable. And then you have exactly the same thing. You can run it, and then you can preview it. You can deploy it. That means it gives you this URL that you can deploy it and then send it to your friends and so on. Um, And I found Replit really interesting because it can go, the AI agent mode goes by itself for a very long time compared to Lovable. Lovable is kind of like really in the basic tasks, Lovable is good. Creating a page, a website, Lovable is good. But creating a web application like Kanban view and so on, then Replit is better. And then the sequence goes like that: Replit, and then after that, cursor, and then so on. So here you can see that it's creating all these files, and as it goes on, it same thing, same way that we saw these files were created in cursor, it's created here, and then it goes on, and then now this was the result from the emoji outcome that was generated from Replit. Now let's go and check Firebase Studio, and then we can take that 5-minute break, and then once we come back, and then we can tackle mostly the Q&A part. So in here, I'm showing another project called Firebase Studio. Firebase Studio is a product that uses Firebase under the hood, and Firebase is a suite of cloud products provided by Google Cloud Platform. And this is pretty interesting because they same UI, like there's a prompt, you prompt something in detail in there, and then that detailed prompt will generate a plan for your project. You approve the plan and the corporate colors and so on, and then the only difference is that the chat window is on the right side in this case, and then the preview window in this one side, and then you have exactly the same link here that you can open it in another browser. It basically takes care of all your deployments and so on. Under the hood, it's using Firebase. That's one of the good things. And also, if you want to build your project in a way that you can expand it later on and then take it to the next level and integrate some GCP solutions, hire an actual engineer to build it further for you, I would recommend going with Firebase Studio. With that being said, there isn't much in these off-the-shelf tools as compared to like Cursor that we have seen already. So should we take a 5-minute break now? I will stay. Anyone wants to stay can stay, but this is now the 5-minute break that initially. Yeah. Okay. But I will stay here. Anyone wants to have questions, please stay here and you can ask me a question. Mhm. Yeah. Mhm. Yes. Yeah. So maybe please hold your second question so that we can go one by one. Otherwise, I won't remember your first. So the the problem that you described is a very, very common problem. People who get into vibe coding, they tend to use Lovable and Replit. Well, Replit is a better product. Let's say Lovable or Bold or V0, but they are like literally surface level vibe coding tools. And then they produce code that's okay for very simple projects. And then once your project gets complicated, then they cannot handle it. Um, and therefore, this setup that I was going to explain, or I mostly explained it, it was finished, but we just didn't finish it based on Martin's request. We switched the gears. Um, this setup works very, very well. And I have built really complex projects. And I'm someone who's not a vibe coder. It's I'm a very principal level software engineer. I've built software for 23 years in a row nonstop. And I started doing vibe coding multiple years ago, since basically the chat GPT was there, but the term was coined in February, but it was something that a lot of software engineers used to do before. And I went super deep into this subject by analyzing and trying out different tools and building different products, and recording different tutorials about N8N and vibe coding. Right now, I'm in a studio trying an N8N and vibe coding tutorial, and you can see that I have been like literally on lecture number 11. And then I joined your call at 6 o'clock, at 7 o'clock. I took a break and then I started. So long story short, Cursor with Taskmaster or Claude Code. Those are the top two, I would say, that you would like to do your vibe coding with. Mm. Yeah, absolutely. What was the second question? Exactly, exactly. The reason that you have, like, let me quickly go here. For example, it's working on task number 8. Let's see what's the task number 8. Board state management, right? Implement board state management. And when it starts executing, you can do this. Like, you can drag and drop here, and then you can say implement this task and don't touch anything else. And once it starts executing, then you have this little icon here that you can go. If you're a developer, you can do a code review, and then you see that, okay, this is done nicely or not nicely. Or if you're not a coder, which I did in my other course as well, then you go in this mode, open editor, and this one, open as editor, and then it goes in this mode and here, and then you don't see the entire code anyways. You close this one, and then you close all the others like this. Also terminal, I don't need it. And then you basically see a user experience just like Lovable. And then on the other page, you open your web page, which is in here, something like that. So imagine if you have, let me put this here. So imagine you have an experience like this. So you have on the left side cursor, on the right side your web page. So this is basically Lovable, but the engine behind it is an extremely strong engine as compared to Lovable. And also it's much cheaper in tokens and billing and everything else. But a kind of like a very senior production grade software that you can go with. Perfect example. Perfect. Good point. Like almost all of them that I checked, they use Git under the hood. So they put their files in GitHub, and then you can pull it, and then you put it in this experience that you have, like literally cursor running here, your project running here, and then you can prompt with cursor. Once it's done, then you can deploy it back on GitHub, like push it back on GitHub, and then go back and continue with Lovable. because maybe the user experience is better or something like that. You're welcome. Alrighty. So, Martin, what would we want to do next? Should we do more Q&A, or should I continue with? Yeah, good question. Like, if I paraphrase your question, how would I know to check that npm package? How would I know what to ask? Is the right question. Like, I, as a vibe coder, I, as a non-developer, how would I know what is where, or what should I worry about? Literally, the I hope that npm package is still open somewhere. React Beautiful D&D here. Deprecated. What does deprecated mean in English language? It means something, but why is that red? What is this npm? All these simple questions could be important. Although it has 1.8 million downloads per week, and LLMs can get confused about that because LLMs are not human beings. Maybe this particular piece of information on this part of the web page is not in the cutoff knowledge base of that LLM. Cutoff knowledge base means, like, if you ask ChatGPT what date is today, it says October 2023. That means, like, until then it was trained. So maybe until then this package was not deprecated. It was deprecated later on. What deprecate means, it's kind of like expired, or the maintainer is not maintaining it anymore. How do you know? How would you know as a vibe coder? I think the best resource that you can start with is this GitHub repository that I put in place called Vibe Coding Core Concepts. It was 2 months ago, and as a part of my crash course, I put 50 concepts, 50 core concepts, and you can read about it here, and you can get to know a little bit about web development. These are extremely tiny one-liners about those things that I thought make sense in here. And very soon, I will release another crash course. All of my crash courses are for free. I believe in karma, and I believe in democratizing AI education. My cohort runs like literally 10 people, one per month, and I have like a funnel, 100, 200 people for each cohort. So I am not optimizing for making money from my cohorts, from my boot camps, but I'm I have an AI agency, and I run bigger projects. So my financial incentives are not from AI education in the first place, especially for those who are learning to build a living around that. So therefore, all of this educational content you get is for free. What I want to do next is, as soon as I find some time, is to take all of these core concepts and then go and explain them one by one on a whiteboard. Not maybe this whiteboard, but an actual whiteboard where I stand in front of it and then I explain things in great detail. So that's coming pretty, let's say, a couple of weeks, hopefully. Good question. This question is very nice, whoever asked it. How can you make an app from Cursor live? So since we build a Next.js app, the best place that I would go is Versal. Versal is a platform where you can deploy your apps um, with just a few steps. In this current course that I'm working on, this one will have one lecture about deploying it on Versal, and also the crash course that I have. It's not a crash course; it's a 2-day workshop or boot camp, free, 10 hours each, 8 hours each day live, also recorded, also live streamed. This will contain Versal deployment because we're going to use 11 labs for voice AI agent, RAG using Supabase vector databases, Supabase PostgreSQL, Next.js, and also Versal for deployment, and also a lot of vibe coding. So if you want to know how to do that, you can join literally in 10 days this project, this 26th and 27th of July. What was the next question? Yeah, absolutely. Whoever asked this question knows something about test-driven development. That's a very good point. Test-driven development is a method of building software. What that means is like you build software first, like you build the tests first, and then from the tests you build the software, or you run the tests, they fail first, and then you build the software, and then you run the tests. If the software that was done is correctly done, then it basically is um, uh, it passes the test, and then you go on. And if you go with this TDD or test-driven development approach, then the quality of the software is really, really good. Yes, with AI-driven development, going with with test-driven development is much cheaper and much more practical as compared to the rest of the things. All right. Any other question? Okay, then let's go to yes. 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 It's basically a code generator. It can generate the code of the front end, the back end, the C++. For IoTs, you can build um, a software for an IoT device. You can build blockchain related software, Solidity and so on, Rust and so on. So, with that being said, what's next for us? We are literally running, what time is it? 15 minutes to this masterclass. Martin, how much time do we have for this? Until 9? Okay, then we have 45 minutes. So we have enough time, enough more time. Okay, then we can continue with this project that we started if you want. And then we can see where it goes. Oh, you okay with that? Okay. And I will, yeah, yeah, anytime. Yeah, sure, anytime. Anytime you can interrupt me, and I will continue building the rest of the tasks. And I keep explaining, especially just for the YouTube content and also for a playback for your cohort members. If they decided to go with cursor, then they have some material to follow. Anyway, so we did the installation. And the best would be that you run it one more time and then make sure that it's running properly. And then we go on to the next step. Okay. I'm gonna quickly run this thing here on this side, 3001. 3001. There was a question. Could you show how to connect database and deploy app on Versal? Unfortunately, for the next 45 minutes or 30 minutes we won't have time to show how to connect to a database and deploy it on Versal. But if you are interested, it is available on 26th and 27th of July. And this, anyway, so this is done. It is running, all good. That means I can literally go on and do another commit. That means this task was done, which is Kanban npm packages or installed npm packages. I'll just go on with that. Now, if I go to my cursor, I say like continue with the rest of the tasks with Taskmaster. Okay. So it's ongoing. Oh, indeed, this was open here. We don't need to open it in the other place. So again, it's doing some set status tasks. So it's basically updating the Taskmaster task list. So if I run this command on my terminal again, you will see that it is updating the tasks. It's going to implement the basic Kanban board structure, implement cardboard, and so on. We'll continue to the rest of the project. These projects or these products like Replit, Cursor, Windsurf, Cloud Code, they're really young projects, like a couple of months old with their features. Well, a couple of years as a company, but these features are pretty young. Like a week ago, Cursor introduced tasks, internal task management. So you can imagine what could it be in a year time when they become a little bit more mature in this business of building these things. So keep an eye on the tasks so that we can see where it is going. So it's going and integrating this layout of drag and drop context. Okay, meanwhile, I will check. We have at least 6 viewers from online, although I didn't do any promotions. They're watching. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. If you have any questions, please leave a comment there, or you can go to vibestage.emilsire.com to ask your questions, and I will handle those questions. And that is vibestage.emilsire.com. I'll quickly leave it in the comments of this. Did I not chat disable for this live stream? Oh no, why? I didn't disable it. Sorry, guys. This must have been a default setting on Riverside. Let me see if I can turn it on. I kept you guys out of the... Not sure how to enable it. Sorry about that. Yeah, sorry guys. You're left behind. Maybe it was because it was for kids, therefore chat was enabled. Not enabled. Oh yeah, it was because it was toggled for kids, but if you guys have a question, either you can ask it there or you can leave it in this chat. I will come back and see you guys if you have a question. Now 3 people are watching. Before it was 6. Anyways, let's see. The build is now trying to run. There is a build problem and it's trying to resolve the build by itself. This is the setting, the YOLO mode that I was explaining earlier. When it finds a bug, it goes and tries to fix it by itself, and it keeps going on a loop. Now it fixed the build. It's now trying to execute another one. Go ahead, please. Mm. Um, the main reason for that kind of hallucination is mainly lack of context. Um, this context in the sense of like, what are you asking the LLM to do? And Taskmaster with Cursor is that combination that reduces that hallucination. And if you use Cursor with Taskmaster, you will not face that problem. Bottom line. Um, oh, yeah. Okay, so it is still working. Let me check, and I also saw the outcome ready now. So let's see the subtasks. Which tasks are we now? So we keep an eye on this progress bar. Okay, so the overall project progress is at 17%. It keeps going on, and then the subtasks are 69%. As soon as the subtasks are done, and then this progress will increase. So right now it's implementing the Kanban board structure. So the board structure is there, but the drag and drop is not there, and the add new card is not there. This is the main um, magic of this combination of cursor and taskmaster. Because it is isolated in that one little corner, it does not um, it does not hallucinate so much. So we give it one task at a time. Taskmaster is basically um, forcing cursor to build one little thing at a time. So since this was done properly, the build is running. I can see everything is running. And if I execute my Taskmaster, I can see that uh, the Kanban is done. Apply Tailwind CSS style, ensure responsive design, and so on. That's okay. But right now, the current status is good enough. And I want to save that. If I quickly double check this project, Vibe 14, you can see that we have, let me refresh the page. We have 3 comments so far. That means 3 times we saved something. I'm going to do this now. Added Kanban structure. So it adds the Kanban structure. And if you right click on the page and then click on inspect, you can also resize this window. And then you see this little icon of uh, mobile app and a laptop. If you click on that one, then you basically can see the mobile responsive feature of that as well. So that just you have that in mind. So I saved that one change, and now I'm going to ask Cursor to continue. Um, can you please continue with the rest of the tasks? Uh, Initially, it sounds a little bit overwhelming. Once your setup is in place, once you know your stuff, then it's not overwhelming. Even if you guys go and watch this video again, then you'll realize that, okay, it was not overwhelming. It's just a little bit more text on the screen, but I have not written a single line of code so far, except that git stash, git commit, git cp, and so on, which is highly recommended to do it this way. From my side, it's my preference. But there are ways to do it from a GUI. You press a button and then it saves it on GitHub. Um, since we're going to vibe code a lot of things, um, we're not going to touch the code. I highly recommend learning these commands because it's so fulfilling once you start writing command line commands and you feel like a programmer. So here it's now going on to the next one. applying the Tailwind CSS and responsive design. And then once all of these tasks are completed, then we should have like a full-fledged Kanban solution with drag and drop functionality, adding a card and so on. It's just about time once these IDEs or these companies can build a way to parallelly execute these tasks, and also the speed of the LLMs. So right now, the speed of this LLM, this Claude 4 Sonnet, is as fast as you can see that it's generating these code. But once that gets faster over time, this task list can be done much faster, and you get the output faster, and then you can become a much faster vibe coder, and then you can build way cooler products than before. All right, so let's check this out. Can we also change or update tasks and Taskmaster before the code generation? Yes, absolutely. There is a bunch of commands in Taskmaster. If you type help, you can see all of these commands that you can execute in Taskmaster. So you can do next, show, add tags, list, use, change, add subtasks, remove subtask. You can do research on a task because it has a perplexity and it can do that, and so on. Yeah, you can change tasks as you go. You can set the status of here, update task. Or if you don't want to use it to the terminal, you can ask cursor to update a task in there. Now you can see that it's trying to run the build. It's running it in the wrong folder. It finds it where to go. It goes in the next folder, and then it runs the build there. It works and continues, and then it updates the tasks. It's like literally hiring someone who does the job at the speed of light, and its IQ is higher than a PhD. It's mind-boggling. Like what's possible nowadays with AI, it's mind-boggling. A lot of people are gonna lose their jobs, and probably new jobs are gonna be generated. All right, so apparently the next task is also done from the code base, but we need to see if it updated the Taskmaster statuses. Then we go from there. Okay, now it's updating Taskmaster statuses. And let's keep an eye. I'm expecting these tasks to be done, and then it starts implementing the card component, which basically is the details of this one single component, which is all reused all over these places. And then after that, it's going to implement the drag and drop functionality. And I believe the card component already has the features of editing, adding the title and the description and so on. Okay. Meanwhile, this is running. I would like to, like spice it up with a few core concepts for web developers. Maybe best would be ChatGPT. We can prompt it and I'll pick something and I'll go to the whiteboard and explain that concept. Can you please give me top 3 core concepts of web development that um, an AI native developer should know or a vibe coder should know? What's a vibe coder or AI native developer? It's a person who do not know how to code but use AI tools in order to generate code, like Lovable, Replit, Cursor, Windsurf, Claude Code, and so on. And they need to know certain concepts. And just give me the top 3 concepts of web development that I should explain to these people. So I think the HTTP request response is a good concept. Or server client, yeah, exactly. Server client, client server, front and back end is one. Component and state, I think it makes sense because in here we are anyways creating components here. You can see here the component word was used. Routing and navigation is another one. Okay, then I will explain these 3 concepts to you guys. Meanwhile, this code generation is ongoing. And we need to keep coming back here in order to make sure that we unstuck this from this bug that Cursor has right now. All right, so let's put this in here so that we can easily swipe back and forth to check the status. All right, so let's start from server and client. So when we have like a browser, when we request something, let's say when we request google.com, what happens? Behind the scenes, something happens. It goes to a server, which is google.com, and we are using, let's say, Arc, the browser, basically. The browser sends a so-called HTTP request to the server. Okay. This is a server, so-called HTTP server, Hypertext Transfer Protocol, and this is an HTTP client or the front end. And when the HTTP, I'll come and explain what is HTTP in just a minute, but just to make this diagram complete. And then an HTTP response happens in return. And usually this response contains something, contains some HTML, some CSS, JavaScript, some JSON. What's a JSON? We'll talk about that in just a minute. And then that means to this browser something, and then it displays things. And then google.com page is displayed here. And that literally happens within seconds, like less than a few seconds, let's say around 1 second or 500 milliseconds or 800 milliseconds. The less, the better, because the user experience is important. And usually the software that is used here on the back end is kind of like Python, Node.js, Java, PHP, and so on and so forth. The technologies that are used here is JavaScript, TypeScript, React, Vue, Angular, and so on and so forth. CSS, obviously, and Tailwind, and so forth. These are called front end, these are called back end technologies, and then some of these are like literally frameworks. Like, for example, React.js is nothing but just JavaScript, and there is no TypeScript running in the browser. It's transpiled into JavaScript, and so on and so forth. Okay, so now the tasks are updated. Let's double check the tasks. There we go. Apply the Tailwind CSS. The Tailwind CSS is now done. Let's see. Ensure responsive design. Verify integration. I'm going to just quickly ask Cursor to jump to task number 4 so that we can go a little bit faster. Can you quickly jump to task number 4 and ignore the other tasks? Implement task number 4. And also, please implement task number 5, both of them together in one go. Just prompting it like this so that it can go faster. And then we can see some output before we run out of time. So we have 20 minutes left to our time limit. I want to be respectful of your time. Also make sure that this video is not as long as the last videos and people can watch it later on easily. Okay, so meanwhile this is running, I'll go and grab the next concept here, component and state. So right now what's happening here is React basically is a framework. It's done by, or it's implemented by, or initiated, I would say, a project by Meta, by Facebook. Um, and it's a framework for building UI or front-end applications. And when you build a front-end application, let's take an example of this particular case. Everything is a component. Like this is a component. This is a component. Like one big component is the column basically, and then it is repeated everywhere. You see, it's the same thing. It has like a button and then a bunch of cards inside it, a title, and then inside the title there's like a count of number of cards in there. So the repeatable pieces of code is called a component. And what is a state inside a component? A state is the information it has. For example, it has a title called backlog, a number of cards called 2, which is these 2 cards, and its color is blue, its color is yellow. Maybe it's not in the state, it's or coded inside the component or inside the props of the component. But a state can be the data that is inside that component. So that's component and state. Routing and navigation. So when you have, let's say, my project, my website is also built in Next.js. When I have this project, you can see it goes on emilsire.com. This is basically the root route, the first page, so to say. If I click on About page, you can see that there is a new route in this, a new page in here. Which actually brings me to a very interesting topic, URLs, because a URL can be done in a couple of minutes of explanation. This is now a routing or a navigation. When I click this, you see the page is not refreshed. It is going back and forth. This is called SPA, single page application, or short for SPA, single page application. It's a kind of like a paradigm that you can find in the new era of web development, but before the whole web page was refreshed, but now partly in the past multiple years, maybe 10 years or so. This is a new way of doing web application development. So I said I'm going to explain URLs or how a URL is done. We need to keep an eye on this bug in cursor, keep pressing continue. So a URL has multiple places or multiple sections. Each of these sections, we're going to add an arrow and explain it. Okay, so the first section is this section, which is called the protocol section. And then in here, we put the type of the protocol that we're using for this URL, HTTPS, FTP, SSH, and so on and so forth. Hypertext Transfer Protocol. S stands for secure. That's the SSL part, or the secure part. That basically that means like this transfer that's happening between your browser and the server. So basically, this transfer is happening in a secure way. And then it's the subdomain part. This www is the subdomain part. The protocol is like literally from this part to the part that is here. That's called the protocol part. And then the subdomain is until the dot, the first dot that comes in. The www is called the subdomain of this thing. So I'm gonna put this here and also provide you guys this little text. It's called the subdomain. And then the actual domain name is the part that that's after the dot, just before the actual .com. This is the actual domain part. Or the domain name. And then this part where the .com is, or .io and .info and .whatever, is called the TLD, top level domain, for short TLD. And then there is the rest of the part. This could be like /about/ I don't know, education, and then a segment, masters, and then there could be, well, there's another possibility. I will explain that in just a minute. Okay. So this entire part is called the path. This part is called the path, or the route, so to say. And then this part is called the segment after the hash. I'll explain what the path and the segment do in just a minute. So all right. So the path defines which folder or which page it goes to. Um, in every framework, it's different. Like, for example, if you're building a simple PHP-based application or a simple FTP-based application, each of these paths is one folder. But in case of a Next.js, it's a different route, a different file. It's also called route, path or route. A segment is a part of your HTML document. Each HTML document has multiple segments, and then that goes there. There's one extra piece here, which is kind of like a dynamic thing. Uh, let's say if this was like all of the UI URL in the first, and then there's a question mark, and then there is a parameter equal value ampersand parameter 2 equal value 2, and so on and so forth. So that part is basically the parameters, like all of that part together right after the question mark. um, this question mark is the first part, and then after that it's a key value pair. If you see this ampersand sign, it keeps going on from here onwards, always as an ampersand sign. It's like parameter 3 equal to value 3, and so on and so forth. So the first part of the parameter list starts, let's just, for the sake of symmetry, do it like this. So the first part starts with a question mark, and then after that it is always an ampersand sign, and then another ampersand sign that basically divides these parameters. So it goes something like that. So each time this ampersand sign divides the parameters, and that is the name of the parameter. Like the first one is the name of the parameter, and the second, after the equal sign, is the value of the parameter. Okay. Now let's see the tasks if they are completed. Okay, so it implemented the card, it implemented the drag and drop. That's nice. And it even didn't do the thing. Let's refresh this. Okay. Okay. So what we have here, now we have the card running in here. Let's double check the server is running properly. This is the Vanilla.js server. This is our Electron.js server. This is the vibe coding server. Okay. So let me double check where is this thing running from. I'm gonna quickly kill this one. So this is running from 3001. There must be a page running right here. I'm gonna close others. Okay. Just put all of these ones in here. I'll close a few more terminals so that we can clean up. I will come to the question in just a minute. Vibe stage is down. Just a minute, please. Now vibe stage is up. Vibe cam is up. There we go. We're back up and running. So now I expect this to be down. That's good, so that I know exactly what is running where. Okay, this is now running in 3001. This is 3001. Okay, so it has an error and it couldn't grab the error. So what I'm going to do, this is a very common practice that you should also follow, is like take a screenshot, paste it in cursor, and then mention that there is an error. Please check it out. Apparently it can't or it didn't install it. You can also literally copy the entire console from here and then paste it here just for more context so that it understands it. Otherwise, it already takes the OCR, or it runs it through an OCR. So let's see. Would the code building be modular if we decide to stop now? Would the product still work with limited functionality? Would it be waterfall? It is modular, especially with this task-based management that we went. It is super, super modular. So it fixed the bug, and it has also created the drag and drop features. So you can see that it's much, much cleaner, much, much organized than that one. So it doesn't have like the add cart feature. We can also kind of like double check the what was it? Taskmaster list with subtasks. So we can see that now we are 33% done. Well, almost. This one is almost done. So what is verified and okay, that's fine. That's also fine. It didn't create that. Implement cart functionality, implement edit functionality, and so what I'm going to ask it, enhance UI animation. What I'm going to ask it is to implement 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 all at once. And then let's see what happens there. So I'm going to just close this one. I will quickly do a commit so that I don't lose this functionality. Added drag and drop functionality. Now I will go to cursor and I will ask it to, can you now please implement task 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 all in one go, and don't stop until all of these tasks are done, and keep updating Taskmaster as you go on. And don't ask me for permissions, execute all the commands, and also make sure that if there is a bug, re-execute and take the bug as the context so that you can carry on building it further. So there we go. It's now trying to implement the rest of them. Okay. There was one error here. Okay, it's the iteration error. I think it's going to find it by itself because it's going to run it internally. Otherwise, I'll give this as a prompt at the end of the execution. All right, we have 5 people watching now, and Nivela says, great session, thank you. If you guys have any questions, please leave a message. I'm reading the comments on YouTube and also from Google Meet. If anyone has any questions, please let me know. All right, so it's going on. We keep an eye on this bug from cursor. We keep continuing this. It should give us an add card and so on and so forth. And also we can keep an eye on the Taskmaster list. So you can see it already went to the implementing board state. What did you say when you were 2 days masterclass? Oh, I mentioned about I have a 2 days masterclass thing. It's here, 26th and 27th of July. So I'm gonna have 2-day workshop for doing these master classes for 2 days. So that's what I mentioned about 2 days masterclass. Alrighty. So that being said, I am going to keep an eye on this guy here. Okay, it's implementing all these tasks. We can go to the subtasks here. You can see the ideal case would be that I see literally this, what's happening here. It's in progress, multiple of them at the same time. But right now it's not parallel execution. It's kind of like it started it and it didn't update the status. But it would be nice if I see multiple tasks executing at the same time. So I'm expecting the task editing, task adding. That tooltip doesn't look nice on this. We'll change that tooltip feature once this execution is done. And right now, well, I code and I know how to read code. I will quickly do that in another window, maybe here. Even I will use just VS Code so that we have like 2 different versions. So here I have the entire code base with me. So let me check the quality of the code, if it did a good job or a bad job. So one thing that it hallucinated was like it created 2 components. So you can see here source, here source. It has to be prompted and fixed. But it was just one hallucination that happened in one moment, and perhaps it caught it back, and just prompting it one more time, it will remove these folders. These are just empty folders. Another big hallucination is that it created, or bad experiences, like it created another folder inside that folder. So I don't like it. I would have done all these files in the root folder. And let's check the rest of this. Let's analyze the code base here. If any dependency or div dependency was done incorrectly. No, that's good. And the components, well, the naming conventions of the components, it's been, I'm not sure if this is a good naming convention of the components with a dash. So I would prompt that one to be changed when I do a code refactoring. So the interfaces, let me check if there is any, no, the TypeScript is done properly. You can see that the types are done correctly. The side effect is okay. Yeah, the code is really good. Like, look at that. It's super clean, super modular. Let's quickly double check this. Like, there is one component with 180 files, another with 100 files, another with 62 files, and 91 files. So it didn't create like one big component having a lot of things running in the air. So that's good. It put all the types here. That's not bad. Yeah, this is good. And oh, it's using context API. So the React use reducer and use context. So it's kind of like creating all these state inside one place. Very nice. Like, this code quality is really good. As a very senior React developer, I have been using React for, I don't know, 9 years or so, since 2017. So you can imagine 2016, 17. Um, this well, I can tell you when was the last time I used React. Well, the last time I used React was just now, but this was the time when I was coaching or teaching React. This was 7 years ago, but it was already 1 year older. So you can see here React code. This was a very long time ago. So as a very senior React developer, I can tell that this was a very good, clean code. And that's mainly the main focus of this combination, like Taskmaster and Cursor, and not Windsurf, not obviously not Lovable and Replit and so on. All right, so it keeps going on because we asked it to kind of like go crazy and execute all of those tasks at once. So the progress is now 58%, and it keeps crunching numbers. So it implemented the board state and implemented the card functionality. Okay, so if the card functionality is done, and once this current error is resolved, I'm expecting the cards to be like editable, and I can add new cards and so on. Alrighty. Nice. Still, we have 5 people watching online. If you guys have any questions, please ask. Mm-hmm. Yes. Did I understand your question correctly? If you want to build a mobile app, would anything change other than the prompt? Is that your question? Yes. Sure. Yeah, no, nothing changes. The taskmaster will stay the same, cursor will stay the same, just the prompt will change. Which prompt? The prompt that I did in the very, very beginning when I went to ChatGPT, and then I prompted something around um, here, Kanban app PRD. So I asked the Kanban to, sorry, the PRD here to kind of like include everything in great detail, and I took this file and then created that txt file on the root file. It might still exist there. Here, this prd.txt. So this prd.txt will change, and then I give the instruction to cursor to do next things, and then like those next steps will be not building a Next.js app, it will be building, let's say, an Expo app or a React Native app or a Flutter app or a Kotlin app and so on and so forth. And then you basically build yourself a mobile application instead of a web application. Okay. So I'm just looking at the online session. Is there any question coming from there? Yeah, no questions from there. At least 5 people watching. All right. I think we're pretty much closer to an end output here. We'll see that in hopefully very soon. And let's keep an eye on the Taskmaster subtasks. It's getting closer to the end. 83% done. Okay, all these errors goes away, and then we should get some results. Let me put this in the context so that it understands that there is an error, because the builder is running here and it doesn't have like that eye on that particular error. It's just an installation or package installation error. As a vibe coder, I highly recommend that you should learn coding. It's not the end of the world for coding. The better the coder you are, the better vibe coder you become, because you know all the concepts around that thing. So it's not that the web development or mobile app development and these industries are dead. It became even better, like, because this application that you're going to see in just a minute, I couldn't do this in 1 hour or 2 hours and build it at the same time. Look at that. Like, it's pretty much fully done work, except these white on the white background, which will now prompt it and try to save it, change it. You can see that it is done, and I can create new tasks. I can create that. So there are these little bugs that we can, well, it's actually not finished. It's still crunching some numbers. If it was not finished, it was not fixed. Like, for example, here you can see that the date and time goes away. It's not fully responsive. And then we can fix those things as well. But all of that literally done by, and I checked the code base. The code base seems to be clean and nicely done. Let's see, it's updating the tasks. Let's report already these bugs, these visual bugs. I'm going to take a screenshot. I'm going to put a big tick arrow here and explain it to this one. Can you please check why the tag and the date in here are not responsive? If this tag or the task number is too big, then please put IntelliSense and add some tooltips on the top of that to show the full task number. Even like, look, it's intelligently adding a README file, which was my next question to the LLM, to please add a README file. So I'm gonna quickly, I will let this to finish and then I'll submit this next step. Okay, now I will submit it to fix this visual bug, and let's see the edit. Yeah, the edit is also not nicely done, so I'm gonna take a screenshot of this and explain that visual bug here. The edit card dialog, which is also used for the add new card, perhaps is missing some CSS. I see the input boxes having a white font or text color on a white background, and also the save and cancel buttons are not properly aligned. Can you double check if we're using the proper Aero UI components for this? I've seen that Aero UI was used before, so therefore I mentioned Aero UI components. And how would you know that to ask this question? Same thing, that it's a concept that you need to get to know. I kind of like did two prompts at the same time, but that's a very bad thing. You need to go one by one. But since I'm like really tight in schedule and I want to get things, at least one of them done, and then we go on with the new, and we finish this session. So maybe another feature could be like I can move the entire column, like move it back and forth, and then I can add that functionality as well. All right. Nihal, Nihal Dev, how are you here? Good to see you here. We met in person. When was it? Let me introduce Nihal to you guys. Dev is this person. We had an extremely interesting conversation somewhere here, I think. A very nice conversation, pretty controversial perspectives, and this is Dev. This is Dev, the guy who's just sent. Thank you so much for your support, man. All right, so let's see what happens here with our cards. Now you can see that it's tidier, it's cleaner, and the animation that it put is awesome. I like it. It's a little bit too much, to be honest. Like literally the entire cards go away. I don't like that animation, but I can prompt it and then change it. But you can see also the input boxes are fixed now. I'll just save it as it is if there were no questions coming, and then I can tidy it up a little bit more. Finish the rest, edit animation and card functionality. Let me see, what's the question? What are the advantages of Versal against Netlify for deployment? Good question. Versal is built by the builders of Next.js. Am I right with that assumption? For some reason, it just clicked that Versal and Next.js. Is Next.js maintained by Versal? Yes, I'm right. So Versal is the company that's maintaining Next.js. So I believe if somebody built that technology, that piece of code, they build a better hosting solution for that particular one. And Netlify, I know Netlify as well. It's kind of comparable to, it's a kind of serverless architecture for full stack applications. But my gut feeling will say that go with Versal because it's their product. But it's a question for an LLM. Can you show me the top 10 pros and cons on a cross table comparing Versal versus Netlify? And then we should see like some attributes with crosstab table that puts the two of them into a comparison. So deep integrated with built with Next.js creators, ideal for SSR server-side rendering. SSR means server-side rendering. Versal do not have that. Great seeding for static. These are all the reasons that you should go for one or the other one. Summary, choose Versal if you're building a Next.js server-side AV project. That's a very kind of like, if it's optimized for SEO, it's a news website or something, then go with Versal. Choose Netlify if your static composable sites are forms and identity and A/B testing tool sets and so on and so forth. Anyways, so the project is pretty much done. What we have built here ourselves is literally a vibe-coded Kanban view that we can add a Kanban card. We can move it across these things with all the animations that you can see, with an edit feature, and all of that literally with writing no line of code. And I did the code review as a senior software developer. I can approve that this code quality was really, really good, really clean code. With that, let's close the session. If there's no any questions, I'll turn off the live session and we'll say goodbye. Any questions? Nope. Wonderful. I wish you guys good luck. See you guys in the next masterclass, and bye.